We have no doubt that the district attorney will make the very best effort to proceed with the criminal case, to seek justice in this case. And we have no doubt that we are going to always seek justice for Eddie, also known as Gwen, and for all children who are transgendered, and all adults who are transgendered, because we love them all.
Since I've been here since July 22nd, 2002, it's been now a year since I haven't seen my family. And so I'm trying to, obtain a full-time job opposed to a part-time. I don't get vacation time, so I can go home and spend with my family. And that's my big issue right now, because it's like I'm a family person. I love my mama so much. I mean, it's just a big part of me right now. And I mean, I still go to church once in a while.
To lose my kids because the backward state of Wisconsin saw me as this abomination from hell. No fit parent for any children, right? And so I lost my rights to see the kids. And it was terrible and horrible for me. There was times for a good number of years that even just the mention of it would make me break out and cry.
Well, Eddie Gwen was my baby. And I loved him from the moment he was born, and I love him now. And it's so painful to think of how he died, how long it took, and how much he suffered. Because his whole life, he suffered with people who didn't understand him. Couldn't even look him in the face, some people, or would call him names, even in front of me. He had a lot of pain as he was growing up, and in his death, he had a lot of pain. I always try to protect him, as any good mom, I think, would do. We always want to protect our children from harm. I only wish I could have been there that night, so that I could have protected him. Because I love him with all of my heart. And no matter how much I talk about it, and how many cards I get, and beautiful letters, it's not going to bring him back. But I want people to learn from this, from his death. And I already know from the amazing letters that I've gotten that he didn't die in vain. There has been changes. And if you don't understand someone like Eddie Gwen, take the time to get to know him, and give them a chance. Because their lives are a lot harder than our lives. A lot harder. Trust me, I know. I saw it in his eyes. No matter how many hugs and how many kisses and how many outfits and makeup I bought him, I couldn't cover that pain.
A little bit of my history. I was born in Dominican Republic. My name is Christina Rodriguez. I'm a 20-year-old Latina transgender, identify as male to female. I was born biologically male, and I had to play the male role. But I never looked like, when I was younger, I still looked like a female, Some people say, well, you chose to be a transgender. I didn't choose it. It wasn't given to me. It wasn't handed down from generation to generation. Basically, it's just the way I view life. It's the way I define me.
I knew that I was different at the age of 3. And I had been born with the name Michelle. It's the same name that I use now. Even my middle name which is Erin, yeah, E-R-I-N, which is a girl's name. That's the name I was born with. I remember my relatives coming over and talking to my mother, and I said, well, why did you name him Michelle? And it says, well, we wanted a girl because my older brother, you know, was firstborn male, and that's all my dad cared about, and so they wanted a girl, you know, and they got me. And so I went to the priest when I was in the 4th grade, and I went to him in confessional, and I told him, you know, the way I felt. And I was expecting some kind of counseling. I was expecting some kind of conviction, or that he was going to tell my parents even, you know. And instead he said, we'll say 15 Hail Marys and 10 Our Fathers and 4 acts of contrition. And that was it. Or, you know, I'm just like a little kid. I don't know what to do with these big, you know, feelings, you know, of questioning of gender and sex and preferences of things like that. You know, what do I do with that?
When I was pregnant with Gwen, I had dreamed of a little girl, and I'd chosen the name Amber Rose. When she was born, she obviously was an Amber Rose and was born with a penis and was Eddie. So as she grew older, I noticed a lot of feminine tendencies, even from a young age, that she, for example, would like to play with Pearl's Barbie dolls, and Pearl would like to play with Gwen's Tonka trucks, and, you know, she liked all the girly things, being in the kitchen with Mommy and cooking, and I crocheted at that time, and, you know, wanting to crochet and wanting to do the things that Mommy did, and to me were girly things that you wouldn't think a normal boy would want to be interested in, you know. As she grew older, though, the sensitivity, the finickiness, the feminine gestures, even her voice was more feminine than even mine and Pearl's. I noticed, you know, it was more pronounced. It was more there, noticeable for a lot of people, even to the point where my friends were noticing that, you know, and would make the comments, you know, oh, you know, Eddie's gay, or Eddie's going to be a fag, or whatever. Even though they were derogatory and they hurt me as a mom, you know, you don't, because of the way the world is, you don't want to subject any child to, you know, the cruelty that's out there. And just with those comments and in the negative words, you know, I didn't want to believe that. But nevertheless, like I said, she was so different that I did take her to a therapist. And, you know, maybe I wanted to make sure that if she was, then, you know, I would do everything in my power as a mom to help her get through it. And so I took her to a therapist. The therapist said that she was surrounded by women, not to worry about it, that a lot of little boys act out, that this is very normal and natural for them to act out, and nothing becomes of it. So don't worry about it. So I didn't. But nevertheless, as she got older, you know, it became more obvious that she wasn't Eddie. And very much so was Gwen.
Kids are teased across lines of difference. For children of different ability levels, different skin colors, from different class backgrounds, they often experience harassment and teasing or bullying at the hands of their peers. And many kids can go to school administrators or teachers or even to their families, and they'll receive support, you know, saying, you're okay, you're fine, these other kids are bullies, you're a good person. But many times for queer teens or transgender teens, they've been rejected at home as well. So it's not like they can run home to their parents and ask for that sort of support, much less to their school administrators or their teachers, so that they suffer to a greater extent from this sort of teasing and harassment.
I only wish that I would have called her Gwen more often in her lifetime. But I'm not perfect, and I'm human, and I made a mistake. She deserved to have been Gwen from the moment she started her transition. But I didn't do that, and I've learned something. Well, this is a very joyous day for Gwen, for myself, and for my family. As you can see, her name is no longer Edward Araujo Jr., but Gwen Amber Rose Araujo. And I hope that everyone from this day forth will recognize her as Gwen and no longer Eddie or Edward. And will also refer to my daughter as Gwen and her and she, and no longer he and him and Eddie. I've asked the media many, many, many times, and I've been disappointed many times because it's not consistent. And there is times that they do refer to her as Gwen and she, and then there's, within that same report or that same interview, the anchor or journalist will slip up and say he or Eddie or him. So I truly hope that this puts an end to it all. Gwen chose the name Gwen from the famous singer Gwen Stefani of the group No Doubt. She identified with the lyrics, and if you buy any of her music and hear any of her songs, you know, I'm just a girl, magic's in the makeup, underneath it all. It's pretty self-explanatory. And I chose the name Amber Rose because when I was pregnant with Gwen, I felt that I was having a little girl, and I'd chosen the name Amber Rose. So we compromised to Gwen Amber Rose Araujo.
Hello, everyone.